The Browns are now 5-3 heading into the bye week after their loss to the Raiders. If you take a look at the AFC current playoff standings, the Browns are holding that 7th and final spot for the playoffs. Now, one important thing to note now, the Raiders, because they beat the Browns, if for some reason they were to tie with the Browns, they hold the tiebreaker right now. Now, Bleacher Report is questioning whether or not the Browns are actually a playoff team. They say when the talented, rebuilt Cleveland Browns started 4-1 for the first time this century, they looked like a near lock to make the playoffs in an expanded field for the first time since 2002. Not so fast. Their 5 wins have come against opponents that are a combined 13, 22, and 2. And the 3 losses have come by double-digit margins at the hands of opponents that are combined 16 and 6. At this point, you have to wonder if Cleveland's playoff drought might actually continue. Now, guys, the Browns' next 3 games are against very winnable teams. They've got Houston, Philadelphia, and Jacksonville. But beyond that, 3 of their last 5 games are against Tennessee, Pittsburgh, and Baltimore, who are all legitimate playoff contenders. My question to you guys is this. Based on what you've seen from the Browns through these first 8 games, do you believe the Browns are more of a contender or a pretender?
Bud, fire away.
Well, I'm going to say contender still, because I believe that they're a bit of a different team when Chubb is back on the field, and I think he will be. If he was lost for the season, my answer might be a little different. But I think they can withstand the loss of OBJ. I'm not so sure they could withstand the loss of Nick Chubb for an entire season. But I'm gonna stick with this. 5 of their final 8 games are against teams that they should be able to beat. Another one is against the Tennessee Titans, who the Bengals just beat yesterday. So I think if they're playing better defensively and they get Chubb back, I'm going to stick with contender.
Stefanski did not sound very optimistic about Chubb coming back in the very near future. While he did with Myles Garrett and a couple of the other guys, didn't seem to get the same vibe coming from him on Chubb. Here's the other thing. You've got Njoku on the bench, and he has been on the bench, and there's something missing here. First of all, that was a wide open pass. He should have had about a 40-yard gain on that. It changed the whole momentum of the game. Then Cleveland had a face mask penalty, and totally accidental, but it happened. And those are the kind of things we talked about early on, Bud, that those things don't happen to good teams. When we cited examples of what was going right for the Browns, now it did happen to the Browns, and it looked like they're back in the same rut they've been in.
Well, I don't know if they are or not. I think that this coaching staff, I've been impressed with the job that these guys have done, and I'm impressed with the focus that this team has had on most weeks. Obviously, I think Sunday was an exception. There was something just not quite right. I know they were missing Hooper, they were missing Beckham, they were missing Chubb, they were missing Teller. So there were some things they had to overcome in that game, but they just didn't look like they were in it. Like I said, to me, it seemed as if the bye week temptation might have started to arise a little bit early for these guys to just take a breath and sit back and relax. But I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt. I think Stefanski's done a really nice job so far, and we haven't seen what they're going to do up to the trade deadline tomorrow. If they add a defender to bring some more depth to this team, and hopefully it's in the secondary or the D line, I think it could be enough to keep them in the hunt for a playoff spot.
I'm going to tweet him tonight and remind him that I'm still available to be that coach of the clock timing and management and all, because he finally gave me something to talk about, although I got to kind of admit that I understand why he didn't do it. At the end of the game, 3 minutes left, they've got all their timeouts remaining, and they're down by 10 points. Do you think that's an analytic thing that says, no, you got to get the touchdown first, then go for the field goal? Or don't you think once you get into field goal territory, you got to kick it?
I don't remember exactly where they were on the field, and you probably do since you've analyzed this.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, the answer is the field conditions were brutal, and I understand that. But somebody's got to tell these coaches, by the way, you're allowed to get the 3 before you get the 7.
Yeah. So are you saying pretender less or contender?
No, I think they can still do it based on the schedule. I think they're you lose Myles Garrett, your best defensive player, and you lost your best offensive player, but 2 best offensive players. And if Chubb can go back, like you say, that'll take care of it. But I don't know. They were missing something yesterday, and I know it's easy to say, well, the weather was terrible, and both sides had to play it. But that's not a good answer to anything.
Well, the other thing that we haven't talked about that game yesterday, and it gives me a little more confidence in them as a playoff team, is that I thought Mayfield played pretty well. I think if you take away the 3 drops, obviously one of them is going to be a touchdown. I thought he made some bad throws, but on a tough day you expect those. But all in all, I thought he played a pretty good game, and that he played well enough for them to beat the Raiders.